Have you ever found yourself in a situation or a relationship that feels like amazing in terms of certain contexts, but in other contexts, it's like free falling from like a bungee jump. But at the end of the day, there's something that is holding you there. These relationships, as we're going to discuss today, are opposite of healthy relationships. We're not going to talk about that. Healthy relationships have a particular science to them, and we're not going to go there. But today, we're going to talk about those relationships that hurt not just your mind, not just your body, but they actually like touch your soul in a way that changes you, and it's very difficult to recover. And we're going to see how it could be felt like it's love. It's something that someone cares for you. Someone is really treating you properly in certain circumstances. But in other levels, it feels like you're just falling like you're falling into the abyss, and something that the floor has been taken out from beneath you. So today, we're going to look at the psychology of it and how some of this stuff works. And I think one of the things that we need to understand is because this is so rooted in blame, it's so rooted in the attachment of that we come into. We need to realize that there's something that we're not getting right. And what we're going to look at today is that psychology of it. So as we move forward through this, I want you to take down some notes if you can, and see if you are actually in this kind of situation. If you are, there's certain things that you need to understand. And if you're not, good for you. But today, there's so much information out there. What we're going to do is sift through it. And we're going to try to see what are things like intermittent reinforcement, some of the psychological terms, the attachment theory, a lot of people understand. But we're going to go into that a little bit of when we get addicted and that gambler's high, okay, that actually feels like love. We're going to go through some of the psychology of that. Then I'm going to try to hopefully introduce some spiritual aspect of it, or something, a hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam, that talk about some of these things, and then we can kind of merge the two. So if you're ready to really understand, how these things work, I think one of the most important things that we need to take in is relationships can be dangerous. And when you enter a relationship, you're not leaving the same person. You need to understand that as well. And even when you leave the relationship, okay, there's certain things that are going to affect you. They're going to affect you that you need to understand about yourself. And if you don't fix those things after that relationship, you're going to end up in the same exact relationship in the future. So let's get into it. So the first thing is, what toxic relationships activate? And I think this for me is there's unconscious patterns, and there's things that reinforce a deep subconscious element. And these patterns form in childhood. They're like things that we respond to. As we are growing, we develop these kind of patterns in our mind. And when we are being taken care of as a child, there's certain bonds that we have to create. So think of a bird, how it has to bond to a mother. Otherwise, it won't survive. These are social bonds, but these are survival bonds that we have to have these things. So right now, when I walk into the house and I see my daughter, she's 8 months old, okay, I can't wait to see her. There's a bond that we have. There's something that allows me to connect to her. There's an energy between us that creates something so special that I'm more than willing to sacrifice for her. That bond is extremely special. And that's what we're always looking to do as we get older. We're bonding outside the family, but the bonds are literally the templates. Within the family, those are the first bonds we create. So those bonds, okay, are transferred to other people. So can we attach properly to others? or not. So what these things activate when we are getting to know someone in the future. Let's say I'm getting just to understand somebody and I'm getting to know them. They're getting to know me. We're just seeing how we match on a personal level. What happens here is extremely important. Why? Because now those old bonds are going to come and they're going to start to talk to you. They're going to, something's going to start to feel familiar. So the way you attach when you were younger, that bond is going to activate again with that new person you're trying to understand or get to know or figure out. They create something familiar inside of you. And I think that is extremely important to understand. And why is that important to understand? Because let's say those bonds had wounds in them. And now you've actually connected love and chaos and you put them in the same sentence. That you constantly, and I'll talk about this pattern a little later, that you need someone to push you away, then you need them to bring you close. Then you need them to push you away again, then you need them to pull you close. You need that drama. You need that toxicity. You need someone to constantly play with you in your emotions. You've heard the term, I want a challenge. What you really want is a headache, because you're not understanding that there's certain things inside of you, there's certain patterns inside of you that you're trying to actually fulfill. So this is something extremely important to understand. Again, we're not talking about healthy relationships. There's plenty of healthy relationships, and there's plenty of people who I know who do have relationships that are extremely healthy. And there's people that they fall into this category. This is the category we're talking about. Okay, so number 2. Let's say as you're growing, you got abandoned here and there. Okay, people left you alone. You stay not because it's healthy, but because it feels like what? It's something relieving. It's something in your childhood. Okay, let's say you get a little older and you stay in that relationship. Okay, why? Because it feels familiar. Okay, that is the fear of abandonment. Okay, when it feels like it feels like rejection and loss. And when someone rejects you and you feel that loss, you actually feel like you have a longing for them. You actually feel like you want them more. So the sting of rejection is connected to you in the wrong way. That's why you will have a tendency to stay in a relationship later on in the future. So old wounds, rejection and loss, these things can activate that old feeling. Now, loneliness and isolation. And I think this is something that, like, you fear being alone more than fearing the mistreatment. Okay, so when I feel lonely, when I feel like if I'm by myself, if I feel like I cannot stay with my own thoughts, what do you think is going to happen here? When someone leaves me, I'm going to grab on with my fingernails. I'm going to do that. Why? Because the fear of being alone is less pain than what? The mistreatment itself. So really think about that. And why we actually take this lashing in these relationships and we don't speak up for ourselves. Again, I'm not telling you not to tolerate. I'm not telling you to obviously seek certain people who can help. I'm not saying we should divide here. No, not at all. I'm saying when there's true abuse, when there's true psychological tension that you cannot relieve, when there's true harm, you need to find the correct help. And sometimes it's all about you on the inside. Okay, so excuse me. Now, sometimes we stay because we have a need for validation, and you constantly try to earn their affection, their love. You're trying to prove your worth in so many ways to that person. And I think this is one of the biggest criteria or the most intense criteria, that when you're seeking that approval, when you're seeking that attention, when you're seeking that validation of the other person. So you need to be extremely careful here how this works. Okay. Now, I think Imam Ali alayhi salam, I think he says, listen to this hadith. He says, the grief of the heart is more painful. Listen to this. The grief of the heart is more painful than the wounds of the body. Think about that. So the grief of the heart is more painful than the wound of the body. Why? Than the wound of the body. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. It's not the heart. Okay, the grief of the heart is more painful than the wound in the body. Why is that so powerful? Because at the end of the day, okay, when you attach and detach, man, what you're doing to yourself, that emotional bruising that is happening on the heart, and you think it's just, I'm just attaching, I feel good, I'm getting some pleasure here and there, but at the end of the day, you don't know what you're doing to the inside. So these are some of the reasons of what it activates and why we stay in these relationships. And I think this is extremely important to understand, because next, I want to go to something in terms of the attachment theory. And attachment theory is the way we actually attach to someone. But this type of attachment, I think, is extremely powerful, because you need to understand something. Here, attachment in the wrong way, attachment when there is inconsistency of attention when you are younger, attachment when there's inconsistency, you feel chaos, attachment when you have a sense of abandonment, here when you're actually a child. Now, this is extremely important. Why? Because you're going to attach chaos to actual love. So as I was talking earlier, there's a pattern you're going to start to build, and that becomes extremely important to understand. But I'm going to move past that, because I'm going to give you the pattern a little bit later. But when you attach the wrong way, I want you to understand something. Attachment is actually like a drug. It's a formulation that intoxicates you, and you start seeing everything is green. There is no red flags. Everything is perfect about this person. This person is my soulmate. And people will talk to you. People will say to you, like, listen, but this person is doing 1, 2, 3. You can't see that. You won't be able to understand. It's intoxicating. You will be like a drunkard person. Like where you will actually, your reason will lose to your psychological reasoning will lose to your emotional structure and how you are connected to this person. So, and you need to understand one thing. If you are attached to someone who's insecure attachment has 3 different levels. I'm not going to get into that. But secure attachment is when someone is constant in a relationship. Their relationship it feels safe, it feels mutual, and it's emotionally fulfilling. But at the end of the day, think of the opposite of that. Okay, when someone is insecurely attached, then there's abandonment. There's mixed emotions from like neglect. There's shame. There's unpredictability. And we learn that love equals uncertainty. This is such a key factor. When love equals uncertainty, let me repeat something here. When love equals uncertainty, we're always looking for that uncertainty. Because there's something that I'm going to explain a little bit later, that you're going to see why this is so dangerous. Because when you have these emotions, the love is uncertainty, what's going to happen a little bit later on down the road is you're going to see when someone gives you intermittent reinforcement. They give you compassion. They give you attention. They give you kindness in doses. And you're going to see the psychological studies here and what that is. And when someone starts to do this to you, you start to hope what you fall in love with, which is what you hope the relationship to be. And I think this is extremely important to understand. So here, now, that confusion, okay, where love and is confused with chaos, okay? So I need the drama mixed with the love, okay? And when I mix that, I get a driving force that is a sensation in my heart that I feel like I'm so connected to this person. But man, you got something coming, because you got the highs and you're going to have the lows. And when you have that, man, you got the roller coaster. You got the toxicity from the bottom. When you're down here, it is horrible. When you're up here, it is horrible. And both of you might be great people, but your relationship, when you guys come together, man, what happens? When you mix, it's like oil and water. There's no way it's not going to happen. And I think this is the key. And some people, when they mix, it's like a drop of water going into a puddle. When it goes into the puddle, you don't know where the dimensions are of that raindrop, because now it's mixed in. When some people attach, they're like that. And it's a beautiful attachment. There's many verses in the Quran how, taskunu ilayha, where that person becomes almost like a sanctuary for you. They become a place of safety, a place of tranquility, that when you think about them, you feel better. That is extremely powerful. So now, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he's saying this because he tells us that the mouth of a fool is in front of his heart. So he just speaks. The heart of a fool is in front of his mouth, meaning in his mouth. And the heart of a wise person is where? And the mouth, the tongue of a wise person is in his heart. So they think before they speak. They understand. This is the reasoning for this is because I really want to understand before I say anything, before I attach. I'm not emotionally reasoning. I'm not connecting to the wrong people. I don't just give my emotions to anyone. Okay, so you need to be wise. You need to rationalize your actions and who you're going to get close to. So now that's attachment. Now, the emotional trap, and this is something I really, like with this, I think I'm going to skip this part right here. I'm going to go to the intermittent reinforcement, because I think this is such a key point. And this point, if you drive it right, if you really drive this right, I think you're going to understand why you get addicted to relationships. Relationships can be addicting. And if you are that type of person that you feel like you need a relationship to get that high, this is why it's going to happen. And this is what's like, really listen to this part. Okay. Why you can't walk away even when you know the relationship is toxic? What is the reason? Okay. And I think intermittent reinforcement is going to give us that, because this is the psychological root of what happens to us when we are younger and what happens to us when we are trying to bond, okay, to other people when we are older. Okay. Now, B.F. Skinner is famous in terms of his psychology and what he's done, and he's known for some of the things in terms of experiments. And one experiment that he had was intermittent, reinforcement. And he discovered that experiments in the lab, like in terms of rats, and when he gave the rats consistent food, they created a strong but a more persistent behavior was the intermittent, not a consistent, the intermittent reward. Meaning, if the rat is pressing a lever and it keeps pressing it, it doesn't know when the next reward is going to come. That creates a stronger addiction. So think of a slot machine. When someone goes into a casino and you start to pull the lever, okay? The next one, the next one, the next one. There's actually activation of dopamine. The dopaminergic system is activated. And this is called the gambler's high. You start to what? You start to keep pulling that slot machine. And what are you putting in the slot machine that you're not noticing the value of? Okay? You're putting that money, okay? And you're pulling that lever. And this becomes habitual. Why? Because this lever becomes your dopamine kick. When you pull down that lever, guess what happens? It's like you're pressing a button inside your brain that's releasing the dopamine. So think about that the next time you're about to get into a relationship. But the main thing here is when food is given in random intervals, the rats like press the lever more consecutively, okay? And the food came out was predictable in the beginning, but then when he switched it, it was unpredictable. And then the addiction happened. They wouldn't leave the lever. So think about that. When a person is giving you that intermittent reinforcement, they're really unkind to you. Then, you know what they do? They give you a little bit of kindness. They give you a little bit of compassion. They give you a little bit of sweetness that allows you to taste that food because you're longing for that. Then you know what they do? Because what you need is they're going to rip that away. And when they rip that away, you also need that because you need that low. You need that intermittent reinforcement. So you've connected love to uncertainty. And if you connected love to uncertainty, this is a huge problem. Because when you get consistency, it's going to seem boring. You're not going to want it. The person who's stable, you're not going to want them. You're going to be seeking someone who's unstable. So I want you to really understand that sometimes the disease is inside of us. It's something that we don't understand that exists within us. And I think this gives us the correct concept of understanding. And if you are like this, there's ways to get out of this. I'm not saying that people are constantly trapped, but there's an emotional trap that you don't understand. And when you get into one relationship and it's bad and it's toxic, understand if you don't change your patterns and learn about this stuff, you're going to end up in the exact same relationship with the exact same type of person. You're going to attract the same thing because the light, the source of the light is projected from you. The source of the problem is being projected from you. You're bringing these people into your attentional focus. You're bringing these people into your own life. You're pulling that because of what you have inside. So understand that's the way it works. Now, the cycle, it starts with abuse, okay? I need that person to reject me. I need that rejection. If they don't reject me and they give me a little bit, guess what happens? I'm bored. It's one guy told his wife, he said, please play hard to get because I'm not feeling anything. Think about that. He ended up getting married to her and later they got divorced. But I want you to understand something here. Think of what this guy was asking for. He wanted the rejection. He needed someone to reject him. So the abuse is where it starts. Then after abuse is apology. They come, they apologize to you. Okay. After that, there's intimacy. Okay. After that, they start to neglect you again. They start to pull back a little bit. And you start to feel that sense of loneliness again. You start to feel that abandonment again. Old familiar wounds. And then after that, there's tension because now you realize that. And then after that, the abuse happens again. And the cycle repeats. Good luck. Good luck. Because if you don't figure this out, okay, there's something inside of you that you need to unplug, that you need to take care of. And if you don't, okay, you'll literally turn into yourself into a doormat. Everyone will step on you. So you need to understand your own worth. And Imam Ali alayhi salam says in Nahj al-Balagha, he who is tempted by the world gets deceived by its illusions. Now, why is this important? Because you're deceiving yourself. You think that this is love. You think that what I'm going after is love. Partially, it is. You're seeking that. But you want it with uncertainty. You want it with drama. There's a special sauce that you need. And nothing tastes right to you. Except the up and the down. The up and the down. So if you have a relationship like that, find a boring person. Find someone who's uninteresting to you. Study them, study their behavior, study their responsibility, because they're usually very responsible people, and they're very predictable, and they're very consistent. Those things, if they don't intrigue you and they make you bored, then really look at yourself. I'm not saying that you shouldn't obviously have some adventures, you want to go out and do certain things. I'm not saying just completely get a boring person. That's not what I'm saying. If they're truly boring and you're like somebody who's extroverted, then you might not want that person. But I'm just saying, security has a template and it has all these things in it. That's what security is. Someone's consistent, they're responsible. Their mood is consistent. Their responsibility with their life is consistent. They are, as a person, they're not going to put their emotional weight on you and say, okay, I have this problem and I have this problem, and today I don't feel good. Tomorrow I feel okay, but the next day I don't. And then they come put that emotional burden on you. I'm not saying not to help. That's not what I'm saying. Again, we're talking about these types of relationships, not healthy relationships. Healthy relationships, you are interdependent. These type of the relationships, trust me, you just got ego battles. Okay? Now, I think what I want to do here as we close this up, I think there's something that you got to be aware of. And I'm going to give you some psychological weapons that people will use against you, okay, in these kinds of situations, because tactics that underline your literally sanity, okay, when people start to use this stuff. And I really want you to understand that this is actually dangerous. And a lot of us, we've actually heard these things, okay, but I'm going to go into them just a little bit so you understand, because these relationships, these relationships, the center of a bad relationship, the core of a bad relationship, the heart of a bad relationship is lying and being emotionally inconsistent. Emotional honesty is the key to relationships that are healthy. When I can share with you and be bare and tell you exactly what is in my heart and allow you to give me feedback, that is power. I'm being authentic. I'm being real. Because honesty breeds trust. And trust creates that bond. Because trust creates that feeling of safety. And that's what you need. But at the end of the day, that feeling of safety has got to be inside of you first. Don't rely on other people to give you that. Security is in here first. And you got to find that. So now, I'm sure certain terms you've heard, like gaslighting. Okay, gaslighting is that person twists the facts. They twist reality. They make you question your own memories. And they'll say things like you're too sensitive. They'll say things like that never happened. They'll literally change the facts of reality. And I want you to understand something. There's something called the ASH studies. And they actually took participants and they put 11 people, if I can remember right. They put 9 people, and 2 people were the actual being experimented on. Everybody was in on the actual experiment. And they would put lines. Obviously, one line was longer than the other, and it was obvious. And everyone would say, this line is longer. Okay, A, everybody's saying A. After 17 trials, I think it was 17 trials, they deliberately, the people who were in on the experiment, deliberately started saying that this line is longer than this line, just to see what would happen to those people if they're going to conform or not. So think about this the next time you think we are really rational people. You see something that's extremely obvious in front of you. And if I can remember correctly, I think 33% conformed. 1/3, I think it was 33 or 38%, literally conformed to saying, their reasoning couldn't outdo the social structure and the social pressure that they were under. So think about the next time you think that, hey, of course I would say no. Understand that these things exist, okay? And so when people lie to you, they can literally make you believe something that is not real. That's why this is so dangerous, because you're messing with someone's reality. And if you do this to people, please stop. Stop. Don't do this to people, because it's the worst thing you could do. It's the worst thing is mess with someone's reality. And people will use these things from guilt tripping to all other aspects. But it's incredible when they start to twist reality. They start to change reality. That never happened. You're too sensitive. Don't fall for that. Allow yourself and come back with dignity and respect. Don't disrespect others either. Don't become angry and that. No, come back with respect, but hold the line. Understand what's being fed to you as a person. Now, projection. That's another one that's used when people project. Now, this is they literally accuse you of doing what. Projection is when someone accuses you of doing what they are doing. So let's say they're cheating on you. They start to accuse you of that you cheating. Let's say they're lying to you. They start to accuse you of you're actually lying. Anything that they're doing on the inside, they're projecting to the outside. That is also very dangerous. And then if you start to get wise to this stuff and you start to train your ear, and you train your eyes, then you train your tongue how to respond to someone like that. It's incredible what happens. You know why? Because that person starts to realize that you're actually onto them. And projection is lethal. And if someone knows how to use it against you, my God, what they could do to you. So learn that, because these are weapons. If they're lying, they're going to tell you you're lying. They're cheating, they're going to tell you you're cheating. If they're not a good person, they're going to tell you you're not a good person. So be very careful. But again, these are general laws. Be careful with application. Application, a lot of people, and I just want to make a warning here, guys. Please, please do not just resort to the internet. Don't. A lot of people are doing this now. You need the human experience. You need someone who has wisdom. You need someone who understands how to apply that. So you wouldn't ask ChatGPT how to fix something in terms of the electrical sockets, okay, that are, or the meters, okay, that you have a million wires coming out. You're not going to touch that. Why? And you're not going to trust yourself because you don't have the wisdom, because the responsibility is heavy. You might lose your life. It's the same thing with these kinds of things. Don't just go and just think you can just grab information and then the next minute you can just apply it. Applying information is wisdom. It's decision making. Don't think you could just do that by just getting it off a computer. You don't have that experience. You might not have that wisdom. You might not have someone who's actually guided you to do that. So be extremely careful there. Okay? Now, blame shifting. This is something that is so also, I lack in my responsibility. Okay? I don't do what I need to do. And then I start to tell you, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I create the problem, then I start to play the victim in the problem that I created. Think about that. When someone plays the victim in a problem they created, they start the criticism. Then eventually when you fight back or when you say something to defend yourself, you know what happens? They play the victim. Or you're too angry. They project. Oh, there's something wrong with you. You're too sensitive. They project. There's something that you're doing that I don't like and you're doing this to me. They project. They play the victim in a problem they started. Wow. Think about that. That happens all the time. And when I'm watching this and with people sometimes, it's comical to me. Why? Not that I'm laughing but it's just to be able to see it, is you have that insight because your eye is trained. And some things I miss, just like you guys. But you got to be very careful. Be careful with this. Protect it. Okay? Manipulation, I'm not going to get into. And emotional exhaustion is, at the end of the day, guys, when you're constantly in this relationship, what's going to happen is this. The brain sees the stress. It turns into anxiety. Then the brain, after a little bit, goes into depression. You know why we go into depression? Is because the brain has used up all your energy. And now you start to feel down. Now you're going down. Stress spike in energy that is needed for use. Anxiety now heightens that. And the brain keeps working to solve the problem, then you become exhausted. It's crazy what happens to us and how we become literally addicted to that cycle. So be very careful. And if I can tell you guys something as I end this, if I can tell you something, if you are addicted to intermittent, if you are addicted to intermittent reinforcement, you have connected love with chaos, love with uncertainty, love with drama. And if those two things equal, you have a problem. And not a problem that you cannot fix. It can be fixed. But you need to understand, you don't need someone to push you away, then the next minute love you. If you are like that, you need that person, you need that challenge, you need that toxicity in the relationship, then wow. Really think about and reflect and see how you need to get out of that. And seek help, seek counseling, seek mentorship, seek someone who can really show you the way and navigate with you your own emotions. And when you could do that and then rewire yourself properly for a healthy relationship, now you've gotten what you need. So guys, until next time, please, we have done a lot here, just try to get you guys as much information as possible. I think there's some things here that will allow us to take things to the next level. And one thing we ask of you guys is follow if you can, if somebody needs help, share the page. And one thing I would tell you is there's so much information we're putting on the website. Follow us as well onto the website, covisiontraining.com. Go there and see what we have. There's a lot of information there. A lot of these things are going to be broadcasted there as well. And if you need help in any way, don't hesitate to reach out as well. Now, there's a few questions here I want to take. Okay. Does it relate to attachment style? Okay. How do we stop attracting toxic people? How do we get over this addiction of rejection? Okay, very good. All right. I'm going to start with the last one. Okay. How do we get over the addiction of rejection? The addiction of rejection is, there's something that if you think of when someone tells you no. So let's say I'm really hungry and I go to someone and I ask them for some money and they look at me and they laugh and they don't give me any money. Why is rejection so hurtful? Rejection is very hurtful because it's disrespectful. And when it's disrespectful, it's devaluing the human. Your dignity, your honor, your respect is being lowered. So that's why rejection stings. So to fight rejection, take it in, absorb it, but don't attach it to your self-worth. Because the second you attach rejection to your self-worth, okay, they reject you, you're going to go down. They reject you further, you're going to go down again. You're going to reject you further, you're going to go down again. Rejection is not connected to my self-worth. You can reject me all you want. And here I would tell you something so beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful things that come to my mind when I need it. When I feel rejected. When someone doesn't do the right thing with my heart. I put myself out there and I'm vulnerable. I'm like, please, okay, don't do this to me. I'm vulnerable with you. But then you sting and you give me that in my heart. And you reject me with such pain that it's so intrusive that I feel that sting of rejection. Now, think of the Prophet ﷺ. The highest form, قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. He got so close to Allah that it was 2 bow's lengths or closer. That even Jibreel, he had to stop and he says, you can go on, Ya Rasulullah. This is the best of creation. The best of creation. The best of mankind. And look at the way his people treated him. That when he would walk, they would throw stones at him. They would throw garbage at him. You don't think that's a form of rejection? But do you think Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped? He would go alongside the wall and he would say, Ya Allah, forgive my people that they don't really understand. They are ignorant. Is he connecting the rejection to his own self-value? No. Because his source of security is where? Is with Allah. That is your source of security. When you have that, the world can do what it wants. It doesn't matter. But your strength is in here. Your value is in here. Your capability is in here. So rejection is going to sting. But take it in. Don't allow it to fester in your heart. And push it right back out. Push it out as energy. They tell you, no, you're not good enough. You can't do this. You don't have the capability. Take that in. That's energy. Rejection is fuel. It's fuel for your goals. Now redirect it. Redirect your mind. I can't do it. I'm going to show you who I am. I'm going to show you what I can do. And I'm going to show you my capability. And push it right back out towards your goals. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, the sweetest and the best revenge is to better yourself. So take rejection in, flip it, okay, and push it right back out towards your goal. It's like fuel in the car, but it's like rocket fuel. Use it properly and let them reject you. It's okay. Don't let it break you. Don't let it hold you down. Don't let it imprison your mind. Flip it and take it to another level. Rejection is one of the most beautiful things you could feel if you know what to do with it. It's the most beautiful and sweetest taste if you understand it. If you can unlock the phone for me again so I can get to the next question. But one last thing about rejection. Rejection is when you walk up, let's say you're door-to-door salesman, and you're walking up and you feel intrusive on someone's door and you're knocking. If you walk up onto that porch and elevate your own value and tell yourself, look, listen, I'm selling something here, but also if they need it, I'm delivering it to them. I equate my value to this person's value. Now what happens when your own value is in your hand, not in the other person's hand? What happens if they slam the door in your face? You know what happens to you? You laugh. You laugh because it's not going to affect you. This is guarded because people who don't feel good are the ones who are usually going to reject you. Okay, so think about that the next time you have someone who has rejected you. So, how do we stop attracting toxic people? Oh man, do everything that we just talked about. So there's something that we have on the website, and they're the 5 steps to finding the right partner. I suggest that you actually look at that. One of those steps, the first step, is your attraction style. Okay, the way you attract people. So you're either going to you're attracted to, okay, people that are healthy or people that are unhealthy, people that are going to create chaos or people who are going to be very stable, people who are unpredictable, people who are very predictable, people who are inconsistent, people who are what? Very consistent. There's an attraction that you're going to have. If you are this side, okay, and you have a tendency to find all the wrong people all the time because you start to say, there's no good people left. My God, I can't deal with this. Everyone sucks. Okay, I'm sorry. That's not the truth. That's not the whole truth, at least. Partial truth, yes. Some people are not good people, but there's a lot of great people as well. Now, you need to change your emotional templates. And how do you do that? You need to figure out exactly what we talked about. Okay, have you attracted love and chaos, love and drama, love and unpredictability? If you need that, if you need someone to hold you close, then you need them to push you away afterwards. Otherwise, you become bored, you become not interested, you become something that is like, hey, I don't want nothing to do with this relationship. And then you got to understand your patterns on the inside are wrong. Your emotional templates for relationships are wrong. So here, my only suggestion to you is seek help. Okay, find someone who really, really understands this stuff, and they can, as you go through a relationship, they can guide you through it, because sometimes you have emotional bruising, emotional baggage, and emotional wounds that you need to get past before you actually enter a healthy relationship. So you need to become healthy yourself. And guys, be very careful, like I said, with these kinds of things. It's extremely important that be careful when you enter into a relationship, because when you come out, you're not going to be the same. Just understand that. And it will skew you, it will change you, and it will turn you into something sometimes dark. Be very careful. And sometimes when you enter a relationship, if you put your hand in someone's heart, it's going to come out white, because they're pure people. They're people who really want to serve you. And a true healthy relationship is about servitude. It's about giving without wanting anything in return, meaning even emotional exchanges. I don't need anything from you. إنما نطعمكم لحب الله. Okay, we feed you not because of what we want something from you, is because we feed you because we are doing this for Allah. The security is from what? From Allah Azza wa Jal. لا نريد منكم زجاء لا نريد منكم excuse me. We do not ask for you for any reward, okay, or what? Even thanks. So it's giving without wanting anything in return. That is true love. That is unconditional love. That no matter what you do, you're not going to change me. This is always going to stay the same. It's always going to provide security for people. It's always going to provide trust for people. It's always going to provide a feeling of safety for others. I'm not skewed here. When this is not tainted, you have something very, very powerful. So I'm going to keep it there, and there's a few other questions that we'll answer. I think maybe I'll try to do a video response, or because I think we're running out of time. So, but my last advice to you as a person, to me, once you really start to understand your own psychology, and once you start to really understand that there's different types of people. Try to find someone who's really similar to you. Don't find someone who's opposite of you. Okay. Psychology says opposites do attract, but they don't also last. Because when that fades, then you're stuck with the person who doesn't share the same principles as you do. So it's going to turn into a tug of war. You're pushing this way, and they're going to be pushing another. Think of an exchange where you want to live in one state, she wants to live in another. You want to have 5 kids, she wants to have 1 kid. She wants to work, okay? You want her to just kind of, you want to give her everything in life, and she doesn't need to do anything because you make really good money, okay? Imagine when you're dissimilar with these kinds of things. So my advice to you, find someone who's really similar to you. Your beliefs, your ideology, and what it compounds, okay? And then the way you apply that ideology is through your methodology. So if you have those components in place, the same beliefs, the same understanding, okay, the same roles and goals, that's one of the actual steps in the 5, finding the right partner, 5 steps, okay, is roles and goals. When you have these things intact, my God, what you can do together. Marriage is expansion. It's not limitation. That's the truth. But now we don't see it that way. Everyone's running away from marriage. We look at it as something toxic, something limiting. It's not. It's the most beautiful thing you can go through when you find the right person for you. So take your time, okay? Seek some help from people who really understand, okay? And there's much greater people than me who understand this stuff. Seek their help. There's great people in the community that we have. There's great people online. There's many people who I know, okay, that if you need any help, there's people who will help, okay? We have amazing centers. We have amazing places here, okay? It's all around us, okay? Seek the help that you need. And until next time, we'll see you guys. Take care.